Where's my copy? He said he gonna save my copy that day. I put it here and he said he will. You remember? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah wa ba'd. Sorry for being late, just unbelievable traffic these days. And there is one exit, if you miss it, coming from Clear Lake with all the construction, 59 and 45. It's kind of interesting. طيب. We are at Hadith Abi Barzah al-Aslami radiyallahu anh, that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to pray. كان يصلي العصر ثم يرجع أحدنا. He used to pray sallallahu alayhi wa sallam Asr prayer, and one of us would return to his house at the farthest end of Medina and arrive while the sun was still hot and bright. Hayya, yani the hadith said basically live. And then the narration go. Then Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he loved to delay the Isha prayer until he basically disliked sleeping before it. And he disliked sleeping before it. And conversation after it. After the Fajr prayer, he used to leave when a man could recognize the one sitting beside him. And he used to recite between 60 to 100 verses in the Quran in the Fajr prayer. Then he mentioned Hadith Jabir radiyallahu anhu arda, where he said in al-Bukhari wa Muslim, and al-Isha prayer, sometimes he advanced the Isha prayer, sometimes he delayed. At the other times, whenever he saw the people assemble and they gather, then Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam will pray quickly the Isha. And they become late, he will wait until they all gather, then he will delay Isha. And the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was-subha kana yusalliha bighalas, that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would pray Fajr basically early on time. Then he said, and in Muslim, min hadith Abi Musa, narrated Abu Musa radiyallahu an, that in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he offered Fajr prayer at daybreak when the people could hardly recognize one another. So he prayed sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in a very early time at Fajr. Can anybody tell me what's the difference between this hadith and the previous one? The previous one, if you remember, which is only one hadith, okay, the previous one was Hadith Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, wherein Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was explaining what? Mawaqit, the beginning and the end of the salah. But what this hadith explaining? When the Prophet ﷺ used to pray, where in between he used to pray. So the first hadith, he used to tell you where to start, where to end. And this hadith to explain to you when the Prophet ﷺ used to pray Isha, when the Prophet ﷺ used to pray Asr. Okay, Asr start from this time to that time, Dhuhr from that time to that time, Isha from that time to that time, Maghrib from that time to that time. When the Prophet ﷺ used to pray. So this hadith, and that's a very interesting way of organizing his book. So he started by telling you when the beginning of the time and when the end of the time. Now he's telling you when the Prophet ﷺ used to pray during that time. Because in Nabi ﷺ, in the first hadith, the Nabi did not pray, for example, Asr at the end of the time. It only happened one time for Jibreel to explain to him, when to pray, when it was very late in Asr. So when the Nabi ﷺ used to pray Asr, when the Prophet ﷺ used to pray Dhuhr and Maghrib and Isha and Fajr. If you notice, there is no mention for Dhuhr and what? And Maghrib. And the reason for that, because the ulama rahimahumullah ta'ala almost agree on that. That Dhuhr and Nabi ﷺ used to pray when Dhuhr time start. So there is no really big debate about it. And there is no really, it is basically the obvious, the default. And Maghrib as well. Nabi Sallallahu never been reported that he ever delayed Maghrib. And the ulama across the board agreed on that. But Al-Asr, no, you have a debate between the Hanafi, for example, and the Jumhur. Okay? And we talked about this before. You have Fajr prayer. You have also a debate between the Hanafi scholars and the rest of the scholars. Because the Hanafi said that Fajr should be delayed, while the rest of the Jumhur said no, it should be early in the time. That's the Sunnah. As you see here, that he's saying, or he mentioning a hadith that support the concept that the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to pray Fajr when it's still dark and it's not yet very bright. Okay, and he will mention a hadith also about Maghrib and Isha, and again he will continue about when did you delay Dhuhr, for example, when it is hot. It's going to come. But this is the point from this hadith. He said, كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يصلي. This phrase, كان يصلي, okay? Kana, used to. In English, when we say used to, it means something constantly he used to do. Okay? But in Arabic language, no. There is debate, a long debate between the usuliyin, the scholar of usul. When he said, Kana Rasulullah do this, he used to do that. It means often or not. The correct opinion, it doesn't mean often unless there is something in the text shows that he used to do it a lot. Because many times you'll find a hadith, he used to do this and refer to something he did it once in his lifetime. Okay? In Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So here we say that kana, we have to have qarina, we have to have something in the text shows that this means something the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to do it a lot. So here, he used to do it a lot or just once? A lot. What's in the sentence shows us that kana here used to, it means this is the often, this is the default. Very simple. You can remember it if you know a little bit of Arabic grammar. بعد كان إذا جاءت جملة فعلية معناها تدل على الاستمرار. Anytime you see kana comes after it a verb which is give you the meaning of continuously doing it, like he's saying he used to yusalli, praying. That's basically, if you're going to translate literally. So when we see this yusalli, it's a verb which is fi'l mudhari'. It means the Prophet continuously doing that. So kana here for sure it means that this is Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's the majority of his time. That he prayed Asr, then people will go back to Aqsa al-Medina, to the farthest point in Medina, and it's still the sun up, full of light, full of heat. That means he prayed Asr what? Early in the time. That means he prayed Asr Sallallahu when the thing or the object, the shade of it equal to its length. Not like what the Hanafi said, when it's double, when the sun goes all the way down or move towards the west and it's cool, because when it moved to the west, basically the sun became cold and is not full of light and bright and heat anymore because it's coming down, it's cooling down. That's not what this hadith is saying. And that he said, كان يصلي صلى الله عليه وسلم ثم يرجع أحدنا إلى رحله. We will go back to our rahl. Rahl, what's rahl means? Rahl means home. Rahl means home. You might, those who knows Arabic, are you surprised to tell you rahl it means home? Why? Rahl it means leaving. But what else? Anybody knows the caravan? We call it rahl. Rahila, which is the camel that carry your stuff. Actually, when you travel, what you do? You take things from your home. And because of that, we call the caravan rahila. So the roots of the word actually go to the home, which is al-rahil. It means al-mata' alladhi fil bayt. Al-Rahil, it means the things that you possess at your home. So that's why we call traveling rihla. Or you go out for rihla, you go for basically camping, because you take what? Clothes, and you take food from home, and you take stuff. In the old days, they don't have supermarket or Walmart to go to buy. They take from home when they go travel. So that's why they call that rihla, journey, because you take stuff from the home. So the root of the word rahala, it means home. So when he said rihla, that's why Nabi sallallahu ordered, he said, ala sallu fi rihalikum. Pray in your rihal. What means pray in your homes? When is that? When the adhan, the muaddin should say, pray at your home. When it is very heavy rain. And Nabi sallallahu ordered the muaddin to say, pray at your home. And inshallah, when it comes, and if Allah give us umar, inshallah ما يكون طويل قصير, and we catch up with this. Nobody got the joke. I mean, I made the joke and I laugh at myself. Because this hadith is going to come. So I said, do we need a long life to catch this hadith? Or hopefully in a short period of time we can catch it, because based on the rate that we're going, it takes us like few years to finish, the first chapter. Anyway, so in the adhan, you will come with us the hadith that the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said to the muaddin, he said, say, pray at your rihal, pray at your homes. Okay? And we will get to know, is this something you replace hayya ala salah, come to prayer. You don't say come to prayer, you say pray at home. That's the famous opinion, that you don't say anymore, come to prayer. Hayya ala salah, because it makes no sense. How you say come to prayer and I tell you stay home? It's a contradicting statement. And that's what I do believe, that you don't say hayya ala salah. Some ulama said no, you added later to it, and you say hayya ala salah falah, ala sallu fi rihalikum, ala sallu fi rihalikum. Some people said in the end after la ilaha illallah. Some people said no, after you say hayya ala salah, hayya al falah, you say. There's a whole debate we'll come to know at that point, inshallah, when we talk about the ruling of, or the hadith related to the adhan and al-matar and al-jam' fil matar and all these kind of things. Here we go back. Then he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, or the hadith goes, وَالشَّمْسُ حَيَّةٌ, still alive. The sun is alive because there's a lot of heat and a lot of what? Light. And that's a metaphor. ينفتل, okay? وَكَانَ يَنْفَتِلُ مِنْ صَلَاةِ الْغَدَاةِ. He said, ينفتل. How we translate ينفتل? And he will, what? And after the Fajr prayer. What a poor language. What a poor language. Poor translation. Yanfatil. Yanfatil give you a meaning other than after Fajr. After Fajr, what it means? When I said after Fajr, I'll see you after Fajr. Yani before Dhuhr. Is that right? After Fajr, after Fajr all the way. I mean, when after Fajr? It doesn't really explain to you. I have all the way to Dhuhr. Or I have all the way to the next Fajr also. Logically, could be. So, what that means after Fajr? No, Yanfatil give you another meaning, which is the moment you finish, immediately you will find basically كان ينفتل من صلاة الغداة حين يعرف الرجل الجليس. يعني the moment he finished Salat al-Fajr, when people can recognize each other. That means when he starts Salat al-Fajr, you couldn't recognize the people next to you. Why? Because it's dark. So that means he starts the Salah when we cannot see, I don't know who's there, I can't tell who's around me. Because it's dark. Because just remember, the Prophet ﷺ masjid has no what? No light. Okay? So, but after he finished, we can now recognize who's next to me. Got it? So here, ينفتل. Those who loves Arabic language, الفتل What's al-fatl? Al-fatl, when you do like this, twist things. Okay? When you twist things, do you twist it like, or when you twist it has to be fast. That's why the word ينفتل, okay? Or another meaning, infatal, it means cut. You know, when you rip it, that's also infital. So, which means something has to be fast. So it means immediately. That's why the word infatala give you that sense that immediately after the salat, person will recognize the person next to him. Anyway, then he said salatul ghadat. Al-ghadat, it means fajr. Why? Because it is the beginning of the day. And in Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam will read 60 to 100 verse in Salat al-Fajr. Question, 60 to 100 in each rak'ah, or one rak'ah 60, one rak'ah 100, or 160, or sometimes 60, sometimes 100, in both rak'ahs? What that means? Let's see what you guys have. Yes?
The total prayer will be between 60 and 100 verses.
Sometimes 60, between 60 and 100 verses in both rak'ahs. Yeah, Fajr. It's Fajr prayer. So both rak'ahs. Anybody else? What she said is absolutely correct. Excellent. So exactly. It's 60 to 100 in both rak'ahs. Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. أحيانا وأحيانا. يعني أحيانا, basically the word أحيانا, which is here said in Hadith Jabir, sometimes. هذا أحيانا كلمة في لغة العرب يسمونه اسم مبهم يدل على القلة. It means sometimes, not very often. Okay? Sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he will pray Isha early in the time, in the beginning of the time. And sometimes he delayed. You might ask a question, why sometimes he prayed in the beginning of the time? And why sometimes he prayed late? Where's the answer? Where's the answer? Read. إِذَا رَآهُمْ عَجَّ. When they gather, if they gather early in the time, he prayed in the beginning of the time. If they didn't come until late, that means he prayed late. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So that's why sometimes this way and sometimes that way. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Then again, وَالصُّبْحِ يعني فجر يصليها بغلس. This one is very explicit. غلس, it means the word غلس with two fatha. غلس. It is when light or day and night mix together and night dominate. Night dominate. So early in the Fajr time, it's dark. It's not light yet. So that's basically what ghalas mean. Also, Wali Muslim, he mentioned Hadith Muslim, Abi Musa, فأقام الفجر حين انشق فأقام الصبح حين انشق الفجر. He prayed Fajr when the Fajr started it. Okay? When the Fajr started. وَالنَّاسُ لَا يَكَادُ يَعْرِفُ بَعْضُهُمْ بَعْضًا. And people couldn't even recognize each other because it's so dark. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. كاد in Arabic language من أفعال المقاربة يسمونها. يعني almost. Okay? Also, kada has another meaning. ايش الله يصلي على محمد. يسمونها من أفعال الإبطاء. It's one of the meaning that give you that it happened like, you know, very slow. You know, kada يعني it's like what? He said ما كدت أفعل هذا. I almost didn't do it. You see? So in Arabic language, the word kada, when you put it, sometimes it means, very soon is going to happen. Kada an yaqa, kada an yudrik, kada an yatazawwaj. Almost got married, almost got the money. Okay? But also it could mean happen after very long time or very slow process. فَذَبَحُوهَا وَمَا كَادُوا يَفْعَلُونَ. They slaughtered the cow, the children of Israel, and almost didn't do it. Like very slow. They dragged their feet on it. Anyway, what are the lessons that we learn from this hadith? Number one, this hadith shows you clearly it is highly recommended to pray Asr in the early time, not to delay Asr. By the way, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam never ever heard or reported that he ever prayed Asr late. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam prayed Asr all the time in the beginning of the time. Okay? Number two, also it is clearly here that it is recommended to pray Isha late in the congregation if the congregation agreed onto that. So they delay Isha prayer. So let's say we agree in this masjid to pray Isha, let's say 11:30. Okay? If the congregation agree. طيب. You might not see this applicable to a masjid, but it could be applicable to our sisters at home. So sisters at home, you know what? Because I would assume men pray in masjid. So if sister at home, if you have the option to pray Isha in the early time or to delay it, now you know that the sunnah is to what? To pray it late. Let's say we are going out for dinner or out together or have a gathering, and we have the option. Like Sheikh Ammar was in a love retreat, okay? And he basically in that retreat, they have the option to pray Isha early or late. They should delay Isha, okay? Also, Al-Isha was called Al-Atmah. And I told you before, some of the fuqaha, rahimahumullah, وَكَانَ يَسْتَحِبُّ أَنْ they didn't like the word al-atma. And Ibn Umar used to be very, very, very angry when he hears someone saying al-atma or al-atama. يقول هذه العتمة. Don't call it that way. But the reality is, and Ibn Umar said, that's the Bedouins' way of saying Isha. يقول لا يغلبنكم الأعراب. Don't let these Bedouins take over and change your language and change your vocabularies. Okay? Why the Bedouins used to call it atma? Because before Salah, the Bedouins, when they go in the night to milk, you milk the camel or the goat, the camel basically, in the night. When you do it in the night, which is equal to Isha prayer. So the Bedouins, they became Muslim. They don't want to change their vocabularies to Isha, Maghrib, and all these new words. So they stuck with what? The same word that you use for milking the camels. So they said Isha, Atma. Ibn Umar got angry. Why would you call it that? Call it Isha. That's what it is, the sunnah to be called. Why would you use the same words that used to be in Jahiliyyah days? But to be honest with you, it's not true, because there is a hadith referred to Isha as al-atama, or as hadith Abi Barzah al-Aslami radiyallahu an, التي تدعونها العتمة. Okay? When Aisha in Sahih al-Bukhari wa Muslim, she's أعتم النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بالعتمة. النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم prayed at al-atama. So that's not really only Bedouins use that. What I think, Imam Ahmad rahimahullah followed Ibn Umar in this. I think Ibn Umar is referring, and the fuqaha referring to replacement. So you don't call Isha anymore. You call it Atam. The full replacement is wrong. But to call it Isha often, but sometimes you call it Al-Atam, it's okay. For me, you might say, Sheikh Walid, why would you even drag on this? But I want you to understand my style of teaching. Yeah, I will make this point quickly. For me, I know none of you guys call it atama. I understand that. So somebody says, why are you wasting our time? It's unrelated to us. For me, it's not about al-atama. For me, it's about you to understand how to deal with the issue. So you understand here that the rejection to the word al-atama was not about saying it one time or two times, but Ibn Umar referring to a total replacement of the word al-isha to al-atama. And this is a method to teach you what? To combine between evidence. Because we have evidence referred to as al-atama. Then you have Ibn Umar saying don't call it al-atama. So how to combine? That's the methodology. You have to train yourself and your brain to not to drop, but to try to reconciliate. Go ahead.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya 'ala as-salah. Hayya 'ala as-salah. Hayya 'ala al-falah. Hayya 'ala al-falah. Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
Another faida, another point. He said that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam disliked sleeping before Isha and conversating or having conversations or talk or socializing after Isha. Why? He disliked sleeping before Isha and engaging in socializing and talking after Isha. Why? If you sleep before Isha, you're going to miss Isha. And if you start talking and socializing and, congregating and having, activity after Isha, you might miss Fajr. From this, we learn fa'idah. That we should avoid anything that it might delay us from Salah or occupy us that we miss the Salah. It's Isha, Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha. So if I see myself, I'm going to engage into this, and this is you know what, just one more game. Yeah, just one more episode. Just one more, page. Just one more question. Just one more video to watch. Just one more phone call. Just one more extra things in it, and that will make you miss the Salah, you should avoid it. So this hadith teaches us that we should avoid doing anything that it might lead to missing what? Salah. Okay? But why the hadith specifically mentioned Fajr and Isha? Not Dhuhr, not Asr, not Maghrib. Because these are more likely to be missed. Because you are working the whole day so tired. So if you sleep before Isha, got done. You're all the way to the next day. And also if you stay talking, especially the best talk ever is after Isha. ما تحلى الجلسة إلا في آخر الليل. The best gathering and fun and these guys, hey guys, or IHOP, like 24 hours. Or late bubble tea, whatever, and they go and they hang out. See how Ramadan it is. It just, if it drag, you miss Fajr. Or you miss Qiyam al-Layl. Or you come to Fajr what? So tired, so exhausted, barely can stand up. You miss Salat al-Fajr in Jama'ah. So that's why Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam do that. That's why you want to have a meeting, don't make it after Isha. You want to have a long meetings, try to avoid after Isha. If that will lead to delaying the salah. See how a Sharia put a protections for the salah. Subhanallah. Yani it prevented you from doing things that might lead to missing the salah. Also, another fa'idah. Fa'idah means what? Benefit from the hadith. Another fa'idah. Al-Isha, sometimes he prayed early, sometimes delayed based on the peoples and the gathering. So that means that in the masajid, we should always take in consideration what the community collectively wants. It should not be the imam's, personal reference. Okay, you know what? I would like to pray Isha 9:30. It's not about me. Nabi Sallallahu was not, and he is Muhammad Sallallahu was not about him what he preferred to pray Isha late. And Allah prefer us to pray Isha late. But because the community and the people on the time of the Prophet ﷺ, that's what they would prefer to do, he went with them. And that's a very interesting lesson for us, that we should, especially leaders, when you lead, you should lead based on the base, based on what is your community capable of, can offer. So that's why it's not right, because we have one or two people in the community want to read a whole entire juz in salah. We keep everybody hostage for, forced to that. Or have to read that very short. We should see what the majority of the people want. And that's a very important rule to learn from this hadith, or fa'idah, a benefit we learn from this hadith. Another fa'idah. One of the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to make you flexible. And I love this. A lot of people are so rigid. A lot of people, especially, I don't know why, but I found this more in America than anywhere else I lived in my life. People sometimes very rigid. That's it. Like, khalas. Come on. In Nabi Sallallahu flexible. When they gather, he pray. When they delay, he wait for them. He didn't get angry because they are late. He didn't get angry because now they came early. There is a flexibility between him and also flexibility from their side. I'm not assuming if we pray early, everybody came early. That's right. But they didn't say, oh, why didn't he do that? One of the things I love about our masjid, including the Islamic Center, alhamdulillah, that's a culture we have. Alhamdulillah, I have two imams with me. We're all imams in the masjid. So there's 3 imams in the masjid. But because I'm the oldest one on the masjid, I told the new ones, I said, see, there is a rules I have in this masjid. 9 o'clock iqamah, 9 o'clock iqamah. If you are in your office, don't ever get mad. Don't ever get angry. Don't ever get upset. Don't get offended. Why? Because if it's 9 o'clock the iqamah time and they make iqamah, be flexible. It's your mistake that you're not there. People is not going to wait for you. You should wait for the iqamah. You should not so also be flexible. Also the community, this is the rule. Guess what? Many times the people say, oh, no, wait, let's bring the sheikh. Even though they know that they have the right to what? To make iqamah on time. But they themselves have flexibility. We don't have people saying, khalas, we're going to wait until Fajr? And it's only 2 minutes. We don't have people like that. There is a lot of, because people, alhamdulillah, have this this is a blessing. When you have a community, they are flexible with each other, and take this in a bigger issue. Take this, and that's how we learn from the sunnah. Take this outside the iqamah time. Take this to the bigger life, to you and your wife. To the relationship between you and your kids, you and your community member. There is a flexibility between both sides. I accommodate them, they accommodate me. I accommodate them one time, they accommodate me another time. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam tatawa'a. Anybody knows what that word means? Tatawa'a. Be lenient. At-tatawu' has a very special meaning, actually, more than lenient. more specific. At-tatawu', subhanAllah, it's an amazing meaning. And I highly recommend you to read this, the explanation of this hadith, because this hadith is full of benefits, which is hadith in Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam when he sent Mu'adh and Abu Musa al-Ash'ari on 2 areas of Yemen. And he said, and Yemen will remain until the day of judgment 2 parts. قال ولا تبقى مخلفتين إلى قيام الساعة. Yemen will only be 2 Yemens until the day of judgment. Okay? And he said, both of you, what you do? تطاوعا ولا تختلفا. Don't disagree with each other. التطاوع. التطاوع is not obedience. It is to give your opinion that you believe is correct for your brother's opinion that you believe it's wrong, as long as it's not haram. Yani, I know that this road shorter than this road, but ya akhi, my partner in traveling wants to go that road. Khalas, no problem, we'll go this road. I'm not gonna get lost. So what if 10 minutes late? You know what? Alhamdulillah. As long as not something haram. I give up my opinion not your opinion that you believe is wrong. I'm talking about the opinion that you believe is correct, is the best way. But you're willing to give it up for your brothers. Okay, another lesson or fa'idah, just 1 second. The leader should lead people based on their abilities. Also, from this we see that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam always choose what's easy, as long as not haram. Was easy for people to pray Isha early, he prayed Isha early. Okay? And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did that. So here we say that this is interesting of how also we should not make things complicated in ourselves. One of the benefits from this hadith that to pray Fajr early on time, because in Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam كان يصلي بغلس. Also, he said, I have time? Okay. He mentioned hadith Abi Musa. He said the Prophet ﷺ prayed, Ibn Hajar, he mentioned this hadith, to prove that praying Fajr should be early on time. He mentioned 3 hadith. The third one, which is, he said that the Nabi ﷺ prayed, hadith Musa al-Ash'ari, he prayed حين انشق الفجر, when Fajr started it. That means in the beginning of the time. Is this clear that the Nabi ﷺ prayed early on the time? Huh? Yes, obviously. Don't be afraid. I'm simple. I'm not complicated. Okay? He said, the narration said, when the Fajr started, the Prophet ﷺ prayed. So that means he prayed what? Early in the early time of Fajr. He didn't delay Fajr. But I'm telling you, this particular hadith is not good evidence for Ibn Hajar. And I'm still couldn't understand why he brought this hadith. And I do believe that this is a very weak argument. Why? Not because of the wording, because of the story of the hadith. And I told you the story before. The story, there is a man came to the Prophet and he said, Ya Rasulullah, teach me when to pray, when the prayer. So the man came and the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam prayed the first day, okay, Fajr, early in the time. If you continue the hadith, next day the Prophet ﷺ prayed Fajr actually late. And he prayed Asr at that time. And he prayed Asr late. And he prayed basically Isha. And he prayed in the beginning. Then the next day Isha late. He's showing him what? The beginning of the time and the end of the time. So here, to get this part, he prayed Fajr right at the start, to say that this is the habit of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that's not correct. Because the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam only prayed in Hadith Abi Musa to show that man when the Salah starts, when it ends. Otherwise, the end of the Hadith doesn't really support your opinion that you pray Fajr early in the time. If that makes sense to anyone here. Also, this shows you, this Hadith fa'idah. Praying Fajr you should read long recitation in Fajr prayer. By the way, the issue of praying Fajr early or late, there is a special hadith coming for it, so I'm going to delay the talk about it. In Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, 60 to 100 verse. That means it's a long recitation, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Why? Because Quran al-Fajr is witnessed by the angels, a very special time. And Quran referred to Fajr prayer, referred to the recitation of Fajr prayer. Also to show you that the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam masjid was not filled with, it was not like very advanced in technology, or even according to their standard. According to their standard. Like there is no lights, there's no candles. Sahaba had candles and have lamps in their homes. Okay? But the masjid was not like, it was simple, very, very simple. But was not having much of technology or much of things in it. No carpet, nothing. But was filled with iman, filled with salah. Today is the opposite. Our masajid, mashallah, filled with technology, even Wi-Fi we have in the masjid. But also your heart is Wi-Fi. It's all over the place. There's no khushu', there's no concentration. Last fa'idah I have. This hadith, and I want one of you tell me where I get this fa'idah from. This hadith shows us the fiqh of setting your priority correct. And this hadith shows you that when you have to compare between two recommended things, you choose the higher one. If you have to compare, if you have a choice between two recommended acts, you choose the most rewarding one, or the higher one, the better one.
What is the question?
Where we'll get this from? Where we get this benefit from? From where in the hadith? Yani I can make benefit until tomorrow, but yani, where I got it from? I have to connect it to the hadith. First of all, what about priorities? Where you get from that you should set your priorities correct? What's more important? To socialize or to sleep or to pray? Yeah, so you set your priority correct. To have a meeting and talking or having fun, or, seeing my friends and going for dinner with my friends, or I go sleep to pray on time. You set your priority correct. That's number one. But what about if you have two recommended acts, I choose the most rewarding one? Where do we get that from the hadith?
He would delay until more people could join.
So in Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, we know that praying Isha late is highly recommended. Okay? Praying Isha late is highly recommended. Or, flip it, praying in the beginning of the time is also highly recommended. But in Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did not take that, which is a recommended thing, over something more important, which is the convenience of the people. What will bring the heart of the people? Like for instance, I have to make the decision right now. Teaching is a great thing. Continuing with the fight of the great things. But also among us people who are said, when this Sheikh gonna end? We need to go home. It's time for Salah. So here you have to choose, I leave this for them to accommodate them. Because it's higher rewarding to accommodate people, to bring the heart together, to not make somebody say, you know what, I'm not praying Isha anymore Tuesday in this masjid. That's more important to accommodate those people than to continue talking. That's right? And that shows you fiqh al-awlawiyat in the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So these are some of the fawaid and benefits. And by the way, as we go, we will ask you guys to share your fawaid as well. And you're more than welcome to do it online and to share it with me as well. Since I came late, that's why I decided just to continue the fawaid. So next time we'll come, inshallah, we'll have a new hadith and a new I'll take your question.